The Navy's aerial demonstration team, the Blue Angels, are taking off again after being grounded due to budget cuts.
We're just very excited that we're going to get that opportunity next year.
The cost, $37 million. But the Navy says it helps recruiting and is a big crowd pleaser, just like the Air Force Thunderbirds and the Army Golden Knights, both coming back from budget mothballs. But is it a luxury when the military is cutting tens of thousands of troops, ships, and planes to save money? Defense budget analyst Todd Harrison says the Navy is sending the wrong signal.
While they're making all of those, drastic predictions, to then at the same time be funding these somewhat discretionary type activities like air shows, I think undercuts their message quite a bit.
Especially because massive new cuts are coming for the entire military. $527 billion is how much the Pentagon wants to spend next year. $496 billion is the spending level Congress approved when it ended the shutdown. But only $475 billion can actually be spent after mandatory budget cuts. The bottom line, in the next 2 months, $21 billion in military spending must be slashed. That's $21 billion across the board. No flexibility in where the cuts are made. All the services warn of impending doom.
We need to be mindful that as many as 100,000 professional jobs are at risk.
The Army Chief of Staff General Ray Odierno says he may not have enough troops to fight in a crisis.
We have 2 brigades right now that are prepared if we have to do something.
Odierno says he needs 7 brigades, about 3,000 troops per unit. Skeptics point out with Afghanistan winding down, thousands of troops will be coming back home. But the Pentagon will have to give up some cherished programs. 2 potential items: a new replacement for the Humvee with a $31 billion price tag and a $28 billion program to replace the Bradley troop carrier. With all of these cuts to national security, must the show still go on?
You're asking me to explain the unexplainable.
Barbara Starr, The Pentagon.
Hey guys, praise the Lord. How's it going? This is Antonio Arnold. I am a veteran, disabled veteran, minister of the gospel, former civil servant, former soldier, and airman at your service. As you can tell, I just want to talk to you guys about an article I just watched. Many of you have probably seen what's going on in the news about military retirees screaming foul about to Congress about their pensions. And I was just having to read here. It says military coalitions, some 27 military groups to leaders in Congress and President Obama late Wednesday about their strong objection and grave concern over the budget deal. Now guys, like so many other places, a lot of budgets being cut. It's being cut in Petersburg, in my city, Petersburg, Virginia. A lot of states are cutting their budgets, federal cutting their budget, now the Department of Defense cutting budget. And according to this article from CNN Money, I just want to circle that for you. See this right here? CNN Money. It says, and I quote, the deal cuts pension cost of living raised by 1% points for military retirees who aren't disabled and not yet 62 years old. Cost of living hikes are automatic raised, intended to keep up with inflation. Like this year, they're not going to keep up with inflation. The problem is most military retirees are a lot younger than private sector. They enlist in their 20s and retire in their 40s. They deserve that. They earned that, guys. Very few stay on until they are 62. Those who may be lucky enough to escape major injuries at wars or rose to higher echelons in their military system. When compounded, the 1% point cut could result in much more than a 20% reduction in retirees' pension over 20 years. So it may not affect us now, guys, but it may affect us later on. You know, I know a few people who are military retiree and receiving military retirement pay, so I'm not sure how this can affect them. My father's is retired Army. I'm a disabled veteran with 18 years, so I'm short, 2 years short of my retirement. I couldn't get it until I turned 60 because of my time in the Reserve and National Guard. And even my active duty time wouldn't be suffice, but it could affect. Here's an article here that the average cut in pension payout, including compound interest, for a retiring Army Sergeant First Class would be about $3,700 each year. Wow. According to Military Officer Association of America, over 20 years, the total loss could be ballooned to more than $80,000. That's not good. Trying to figure that out, guys. While portrayed as a minor change, a 20% reduction in retirement pay and survivor's benefit value is a massive cut in military career benefits. Rogue groups include the Air Force Sergeant Association, Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America, and Marine Corps League, among others, in the letter. The change is infuriating there to military retirees like Army Colonel Michael Barron, who retired nearly 4 years ago after 30 years of service, which includes being deployed to both Iraq wars. It's not fair at all, as he quote, I spent 38 years of career in the military. I clearly understood what the cost of living increase would be, said Barron, Deputy Director of Government Relations for the Military Officer Association of America. This is the worst kind of an example of a shady backroom deal. The cuts is forcing someone to reconsider how much longer they would continue to work with the military. You think, after 20 years, you fight, you put your lives on line, you give to Uncle Sam 20 years to the best of your ability, because, civilian work is not always the best, but you try to give, your career a good fighting chance. And if you made it through all the politics and the PT test, the training, plus get through injuries, you're good. And you hope that Uncle Sam would be there with you and for you for the rest of your life, and you don't have to worry about your pension. But the way things are not looking too good, guys, as far as retirement. Now, granted, I just want to argue this. It may not be a factor at all for some of us. I mean, not me speaking of me myself, but it may not be a factor at all, unless you're speaking about the generation that's coming behind. I had heard some guys tell me that it's not a factor for them, those who retired back in the 90s, back in the 80s, back in the 60s. It's not a factor for them. It's not a factor for guys who just prior to 9/11. It's a factor and made perhaps for guys who retired in 2008, 2009, maybe 2014. But if it is a factor, I would like to know. So if you guys are out there, somebody's out there who have a deeper insight of this whole thing and makes sense of this whole craziness, please send a message, send a note, send a text, send a instant message or something. Go over and log on this post and make a statement and make it clear to us, guys. Make it sense for us. Explain to us that it's not either a factor or not a factor. And if so, what do these upcoming retirees need to do to prepare for this shortfall? Okay, I want to ask you that. Let's take a look at this thing, because it's all about providing for our family. We gave so much for our country, and we're definitely looking for something in return. We served. And get with your military group, give your Army Officer Association, NCO Association, and find out, hey guys, will this be a factor for us? I'm looking here also, former New Normal Government retirement. Washington leader, House Republican in particular, has been worried about the cost of military retirees' benefit. Why? In 2012, Pentagon spent $52.4 billion on 2.3 million military retirees and survivors. That means their wives, they die. A cost that is expected to rise for the next few decades, so another 20 years or more, according to the Department of Defense Office of the Actuary. Okay. House Budget Chief Representative Paul Ryan, remember Paul Ryan, everybody, website state that military retirement provides an exceptional generous benefit, often providing 40 years of pension payments in return for 20 years of service, as it explained why benefits should be trimmed. Now, whosoever get an opportunity, click on this site and see if you can make sense of that too. Current levels of military compensation are incompatible with overall demands on the defense budget, according to House Committee of the Budget Report. Military groups say that they're open to reforms, but they like some changes to go through the normal legislative process that allow time to review and assess any recommendation that could significantly impact retention and readiness. You know, my question is, why should I serve these at least 20 years knowing I'm not going to get much of nothing? The cut ends up saving budget $6 billion, according to Congressional Budget Office. Congress would also make newly hired civil federal workers contribute to 1.3% more of their paycheck to pension if the budget deal becomes what? Law. So civil service workers, look out for a surprise. I'm unfortunate I cannot continue mine, but I have a great deal of respect for you guys. Department of Defense wouldn't comment on the military coalition letter and pointed to a statement by the Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel saying the budget deal provides greater budget certainty, whatever that word is, may be, with reducing the impact massive cuts from so-called sequesters. And if you can make sense of that, that'd be great too. Okay? So, I'm going to take a look, explain why should the budget be trimmed. And, okay, publication. The Cost Department of Defense 5-year plan, future defense program will significantly exceed the budget cap established in the Budget Control Act of 2011. The projected growth for Cost Department of Defense plan over the next 15 years is most contributed to the rising cost of operations, of course, and support driven by a significant increase in the cost of military health care. Hey, TRICARE guys. Compensation of the Department of Military and Civil Employees, double dip. Since 2001, the cost per service member in an active duty force has increased by 41%. Are you serious? Excluding war funding, adjusting for inflation. If personnel costs continue to grow at that rate and the overall defense budget grows to inflation, military personnel costs will consume the entire defense budget by 2039. Hey, that's what you have when you want guys with degrees. You want guys highly intelligent. You want guys highly educated, highly motivated, and in shape. What more do you want, guys? You want us to be technically sound. You're making us take these courses over and over again. And yet I don't understand. You're fussing about, exceeding by 2039. You're talking about billions of dollars, and you're talking about an increase of 41%. I mean, we're in a world of mess, guys. Something definitely needs to be done to save the budget, but at the same time, what's the cost of freedom? What is the cost of freedom? What is it worth to you? Somebody answer that question. What is it worth to you? Should we ground all our F-15, F-16? Hey, we got some F-22, but they're not talking equipment. They're talking about personnel. So a soldier graduating from a high, or an airman, or a Marine, or a squid, I like to call them squid, don't take it personally, or Navy personnel. What's going to happen with these guys? Because they're going to come, some come already with family. You got to give them something to eat. You got to provide them uniforms. What are we going to do? Go back to pre-World War I? Pre-World War II? Are we going to go back to using rubber rifles or wooden rifles, wooden machine guns. I mean, how are we going to solve this problem? Everything is technical. We're not fighting a low technical war anymore. I mean, we got stealth fighters. I mean, we got stuff that will make guys' life miserable with the less than a few. We already cut our defense down. Since Clinton administration, we already cut our defense budget, because I was cut myself twice. It doesn't make sense, guys. Why is it costing this much? I mean, does healthcare cost that much? Are these pharmaceutical companies making that much of a paycheck from the federal government? If just to get hospital equipment and healthcare for these soldiers and their families, that costs that much, then why are we here? We should be able to handle this. Military retirement. I'm upset about this thing. This is like enough to make you sick. Although military retirement programs serve only a small minority of forces, only about 17% of the military personnel eventually qualify for retirement pay. Of course, y'all doing a good job of disqualifying us and kicking us out. Y'all doing a good job of that. Fungal PT test, get out of here. Double slotted, you get out of here. Overweight, get out of here. Blown up, beaten up, get out of here. We don't want you to stay. We don't want too many people to stay. They provide exceptional, generous benefit, often providing 40 years of pension payments in return for 20 years of service. Fair enough. That's the reason I raised my hand, guys. According to the Department of Defense of the actuary, the fiscal year 2012, there were 2.3 million military retirees and survivor benefits recipients. That's World War II. Maybe a few, maybe one or two World War I's, or between pre-World War II, after World War II, prior to Korean War. Then you got Vietnam, you got skirmishes, the Cold War in between. Of course, it's all Cold War. And then you got Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Grenada. Then you got Just Cause, Operation Just Cause. I was around that time. Hey. Then you got Iraqi freedom, post 9/11. You got a lot, all that stuff going. Afghanistan, Iraqi freedom, and then you got enduring freedom. Then we got stuff going on, skirmishes. Just still keep maintain a force in Korea. We're now moving forces to Asia and building bases in the Philippines. We're increasing our size and our presence in Europe once again. And you tell me, you complain about providing 40 years of pension payments in return of 20 years of service? It's ludicrous. According to the Department of Defense, of 2012, there was 2.3 million military to retirees and survivor benefits. They receive approximately $52 billion in payments. Excuse me, I got a little stuffed up nose and a little cold. Retirement outlays are expected to rise to about $55 billion by 2017. That's next year, and $59 billion in 2022. Cost of living, things goes up, prices go up too, man. All 2012. I mean, look at this. You can't expect people to live off to 1949 budget, which was a few single million. I mean, all this stuff goes. What's the big deal? Dollars goes up. It was just yesterday that $8 billion was supposed to handle, enduring freedom. Then it went up to $80 billion. So you tell me, you do the math. I'm not an accountant. Y'all talk about this stuff. The cost of total federal budget, military retirement benefit has been rising each year because of the predictable slow rise in the number of retirements and survival and cost of living increase. Of course. Go figure. People are living longer too. Budget agreement. General military service members who complete 20 years service, regardless of age, are eligible for non-disable retirement with it, immediate retirement pay. Of course, they get the blue ID card. For most retiree pay is a percentage of the highest 36 months of service member pay basic pay. A service member who retires after 20 years of service receives 50% of his or her high 3 basic pay, with the percentage increasing in 2.15% increments for each year above 20 years. Well, hey, So you're living off 50% of your income, buddy. So if you're used to receiving $10,000 a month, you get $5,000 a month. $2,000 a month, guys, you're gonna get, $1,000 a month. Based on your pay grade of your highest rank. That's all it's gonna be. I'm just throwing that out as an example, but you should know. 2.5% increment for the year, about 20 years, because service members can retire well before the normal retirement age of the private sector. Who wants to work till 60, man? You telling me to get up, get down, do all this crazy stuff, go all over the world on a dime, and you tell me I can't do this thing all the way up to 60? It's obvious. It's common sense. These soldiers, airmen, marine, and seamen deserve it. Don't mess with their retirement, guys. And I'm just going to put it out there to America. Do you believe our fellow soldiers, airmen, National Guard, active duty, should they have to wait till they're 62 years old to get their retirement? Don't they deserve their retirement after 20 good years of service when they get the 20-year letter? Or should they be extended and they have to wait to their actual age of 62? You tell me. Will it be fair? Some people don't get retirement until they're 62, or eligible for any retirement until they're 62. Some jobs give them retirement, depending how much they invest in their company, age 55. But according to this, at age 62, the retirement pay will be calculated for each prior year of COLA and has been the full CPI. After age 62, the COLA itself will be in full CPI. Consumer Price Index. That's what it stands for. So in conclusion, read this stuff. Check with your human resource command NCO officer about your retirement. And if you have already retired, contact the VA or contact finance. Contact someone. Take a look at what you got and see what you're eligible for, and see if it's correct. Find out how this stuff's going to affect you. They talking about reduction in cost. They talking about budget cuts. $52.4 billion, a lot of money. Oh Lord, and this is back in 2013. Come on now, they tagging, stuff from 3 years ago. Require worker to pay more into their pension. Civil service. Wow. Guys, you need, bottom line, as time goes on, we're gonna need we're definitely gonna need a plan B. You're gonna have to have some other streams of income. You're definitely gonna need something else besides the norm. You're definitely gonna need a benefit or a business. I recommend a business. Be straightforward. Get a business. Get into your plan B. I don't care what network marketing company you go to. I don't care if you open a shoe store. Well, it's going to take 5 years before you, or 10 years before you see any profit, but get something that's going to pay you. Leverage your time. Get something that's going to give you residual incomes. That way, if you get sick, your body gets hurting, like mine's arthritis, get pain, get the best of you guys, hey, you can rest easily knowing that, hey, I don't have to worry about getting out of bed and showing up Walmart as a greeter, even though my back, leg, or my head hurts, or living off $1,000 a month in Social Security. That is not living, brothers and sisters. That is not something to look forward to. To my fellow soldiers, 50% of your income, man. You still got a house payment, you still got a car payment, you still got a lifestyle. And even if you work a regular job or a civil service job, it's not going to be the same pay. Your cost is still there. If you still have debt, it's still there. So get in position, get with me. Bottom line, get with me. Call me, 804-490-2021. Hey, tell Arnold. Hey, I need a plan B, brother. Get with me. If you're airborne qualified, hey, call me up anyway. Airborne, I need a plan B. Infantry, I need a plan B. Civil engineer, I need a plan B. All jokes aside, just get with me. Seriously, 804-490-2021. Just say, I need a plan B, and I'll call you back, and let's talk. We'll set an appointment. We'll have either a phone talk or a one-on-one. Love to hear from you. Hope all is well. And remember, I am always on watch for you. Thank you for your time, and God bless you, and may heaven smile upon you, and God bless America. This is Beast Mode Antonio Arnold, signing off.